Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole with an H, and it's by user Apprehensive Perlo. Am I the a-hole for threatening to divorce my wife if she doesn't discipline her son? I, 45 male, am married to my wife, 47 female. We both have teen sons from previous relationships. Her son, Noah, is 14 years old, and my son Spencer is 15 years old. Spencer's biological mom, my ex, is a deadbeat who doesn't pay her child support and hasn't spoken to Spencer in years. While Noah's biological dad is very involved in Noah's life and takes him every other week. Noah's dad also makes a fair bit more money than either me or my wife, and this leads to Noah having nicer things than Spencer. For example, Noah has a fairly new iPhone while Spencer has an old model with a cracked screen. Noah's dad is promised to pay his way through college while Spencer works 2 part-time jobs, by his choice, to start saving up, but will still probably have to take out loans. Most relevant to our current problem is that Spencer wears almost exclusively second-hand or thrift clothes, while Noah's dad buys him department store and name brand clothes. Because of the difference in the way the two boys dress, Noah has taken to making fun of Spencer for looking like a hobo, like he crawled out of a gutter, and like trailer trash. These are just nasty, unnecessary, and in my opinion, very classist insults. It's not like Spencer doesn't put effort into his appearance, we just don't have the money to fill his closet with $30 t-shirts and $75 pairs of jeans. Now, Spencer has a bit of a temper, and the difference between his things and Noah's things is a sore spot. As a result, the boys have gotten into several shouting matches and one major physical altercation. Spencer is tall for his age, and Noah hit puberty late, so it was more of a beatdown than a fight, though no one went to the hospital. I've spoken to my wife multiple times about disciplining Noah, but she insists that he's just doing it to get a reaction out of Spencer, and the solution is for Spencer to stop falling for it, rather than any consequences or even a strong conversation for Noah. I may have accepted this if Noah was in elementary school, but he's a teenager, and a teenager needs to be at least told not to antagonize his stepbrother, who he knows has outbursts. I've tried to talk to Noah myself, but he just says,
"You're not my dad, you can't tell me what to do."
And yes, I have talked to Spencer about keeping his temper in check, but at this point, it's not his fault when he's constantly being demeaned for something he has no control over. So after the aforementioned physical incident, I gave my wife an ultimatum: discipline Noah or I'm leaving. I told her that I couldn't keep my son in a home where he's constantly on edge because she refuses to parent her son. I told her that as a step-parent, I have little authority over Noah, so it's on her to set him straight. She asked me if I was seriously considering divorcing her over the way she parents her son, and I said yes, that this isn't about her, but about protecting my son from Noah's bullying. She told me I was being manipulative and that threatening divorce over every little thing is abusive. I tried to explain that this wasn't a little thing, and she just told me to give her a few days to think things over. I agreed to give her a week before I would contact a lawyer. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP, this is kind of a tough one for me because I don't agree with ultimatums, but you are standing up for your son, so I don't think you're the a-hole because of that. The fact that you are backing your son up, which is the right thing to do. Now, taking into account everything that you've told us, that you've spoken to her about this many times and that she's just brushed it off, I wouldn't have given her an ultimatum. I would have served it already. Because you are absolutely right. It's not right that your son has to grow up in a house with a bully inside of it. And Noah needs to learn that that kind of behavior, if it's not corrected by a parent, it will be corrected by a peer, and not in the softest, nicest way. That's basically nature's way of keeping idiots in check. He effed around, he found out. So yeah, OP, in summary, no, I do not think you're the a-hole. I think you're doing right by your son. So keep doing it, and you know what? Just go straight to a lawyer. You don't need to give her a countdown timer or anything like that. Just serve her. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? Do you think he's the a-hole for giving her this ultimatum? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Miyuki M says, not the a-hole. Noah is bullying Spencer and your wife is ignoring her responsibility to raise a decent human being. Spencer deserves better and as his father, you have a responsibility to protect him. I wouldn't want to be married to someone who thinks my son should just put up with being bullied by their kid instead of teaching their kid not to be a bully. Shell says, not the a-hole. Honestly, I'd start looking into lawyers now anyways. Maybe she'll say things will change, but I doubt they'll change for long, or maybe it'll just change when you're around. She's blaming your son for being bullied and downplaying her son's actions. Not sure why you'd want to be with someone who'd even think that that kind of behavior is acceptable. Try to get your son some help for his anger issues and take a look at things that you might qualify for due to having a lower income. Your son is working 2 jobs at 15. He's worried about what his future looks like. Always pissed off 59, is that you, Hulk? Says, you're definitely not the a-hole. Something else to consider. Given their ages, do Noah and Spencer attend to the same school? If so, then a separation and divorce is only step 1 in the process, as Noah will bully the hell out of Spencer when school starts in 6 to 8 weeks. For fun, a display of power.
Hey, I got rid of the a-hole who married mom and his trailer trash son.
And a desire to destroy Spencer's social life at school. You will need to move Spencer to a new school in order to protect him from being expelled or brought up on charges for beating the living crap out of Noah one day at school. And Opie responds, Noah is already set to go to a private Catholic school, chosen and paid for by his dad, of course, so this won't be an issue. Thank you for your concern though. God, just thinking that part in quotes just breaks my effing heart. I get annoyed with it sometimes, but other times that money is a blessing even if it's not mine. Additional information from Opie's comments. As I said, I've tried to talk to Noah, but he's like a brick wall. He won't listen to anyone except his mom and dad. I tried to take his phone once for an unrelated reason, and his mom and dad blew up on me for stealing, and my wife basically told me that I have no right to do anything to him because he's not biologically mine. I don't feel like I have the right to mess with their custody arrangement and tell her that Noah is welcome only on weekends or something like that, and I felt like taking the nuclear option, divorce, would get her attention and take the issue seriously. Honestly, this was a test, and depending on how she took or didn't take action from my threat, I would weigh our relationship. I admit that my relationship with my wife needs work, but my son is my priority and I'm not willing to keep him in a house with a bully while my wife and I work on things. Also, when Spencer beat Noah after he had enough, my wife didn't want to involve the cops because no one got hurt bad enough to require a doctor's visit and because she considered it a scuffle between brothers. I've told my son that he needs to control his anger and I don't tell him he's a victim. I don't condone violence from my son, but at this point, my son was at his breaking point, so I don't blame him the least. Also, Noah threw the first punch, so yeah, I'm proud of my son for standing up for himself. Finally, some people here are acting like wearing thrifted clothes is some kind of child abuse, but really, the only difference between my son's clothes and my stepson's clothes is the brand name and where they were purchased. I wear thrift clothes, and so does my wife. It wasn't an issue until Noah decided it made him superior. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and with that additional information, I have a few things to add. If Noah was the one to throw the first punch after bullying Spencer, then it serves him right that Spencer beat the crap out of him. That's something I've actually told my kids. We don't hit first, we defend ourselves. So if somebody ever takes a strike at them, they have my absolute support in hitting back. And if they get suspended, I'll take them to an amusement park and then out to dinner. And this is something that I've actually spoken about and agreed upon with my wife. And also, there's nothing wrong with wearing thrift clothes. There's actually a lot of cool stuff there. Anyways, it's time to move on to the first of 2 updates that OP has given us. But before that, if you've liked this story so far, go ahead and give it a like, maybe write a comment, or even subscribe if you haven't done so far. It all helps. Now let's move on with that update. First off, as per everyone's advice in my last post, I've gotten in contact with a divorce lawyer and have begun to draft papers. Whether or not they'll be filed remains to be seen. Second, I didn't think I'd be updating so soon, but there's been a major development. Yesterday, Noah's father, who I'll be calling Mike, called me. We have each other's numbers, but we generally don't speak, so this was a surprise. I picked up, greeted him, and asked what was up. He told me he was calling because of the fight our boys got into and asked me if I knew anything about it. So I told him that I did know about it and that thankfully neither boy was badly hurt. Then he tells me, "Good, that's good to hear. Listen, from the way Noah tells the story, your boy, Spencer was it, attacked mine over some petty argument over clothes. Now, I know my boy can exaggerate, so I figured I'd call to get it from you." So I tell him what I know and say, yeah, well, now I don't mean to call Noah any kind of liar, but that's only half the story. See, lately your boy has taken to picking on mine because you can afford to dress him in more expensive clothes. Now, I'm glad that Noah can have the clothes he wants thanks to you, but he's decided that makes him superior to Spencer. Noah called him a hobo, trailer trash, told him he looked like he crawled out of a gutter, and said he wouldn't be surprised if Spencer ended up on the streets in 5 years. Mike was surprised that his son would say things like that and assured me that that is not the type of thing he teaches him in his house. Then he asked me to tell him more, so I continued. Right. Now, my boy can have a temper, and I'm working on that with him, be sure. But Noah wouldn't listen when I told him to knock it off. There have been a few yelling fights, and then a couple of days ago, Noah just kept winding him up. And they were shouting at each other, and then Noah swung, and well, the rest is history. Now, Mike was really surprised that Noah was the first to use his hands. I confirmed that that was the case, but also clarified that it wasn't a fair fight at all because Noah didn't get another chance and Spencer did the rest. I told Mike that I was glad neither got hurt too bad, and then I told him, let me be frank, your boy is causing problems in my house and he needs to stop before he gets put in the hospital. Could you talk to him about it? Sherry, my wife, won't address this, but our relationship is a whole other deal. And then Mike said, oh yeah, for sure I'll talk to him. And also, so long as no one goes to the hospital, feel free to let your boy set mine straight, if you know what I mean. That's how I learned to stop being a mouthy little crap. Maybe a little schoolyard justice will do the same for him. I like Mike. I was really appreciative of Mike's approach and told him that I'd pass his message to Spencer, but that I'd honestly prefer less violence in my house. He said he agreed, that he was disappointed in Noah and apologized for his behavior with Spencer. Then we hung up. Anyway, Noah goes to Mike's place tomorrow, so hopefully his father can straighten him out. As for my relationship with my wife, I'll be having a serious sit-down with her soon. If we can't work things out, that lawyer of mine will come in handy. And yes, I did tell Spencer what Mike said about setting Noah straight, but I made it clear that Spencer is not to start anything. But if Noah gets physical first, Spencer has my permission to shut him down. Alright, well it sounds like Noah has at least one good parent in his life. Hopefully Mike can help set him straight. And also, OP did the right thing. It's basically the same thing I said to my kids like I told you guys before. Anyways, let's not waste any more time in my commentary and move on straight to the final update to see how this story ends. So, some of you suggested that Sherry and I have a family meeting with Mike and the boys, and I figured it was worth a try. I called Mike and he said it was a great idea, but Sherry didn't want to because her divorce from Mike was so chaotic and she didn't want to make things awkward. It took some convincing, but she caved eventually. I won't go into the little details, but basically Mike and I tried to explain to Noah and Sherry why what Noah had been doing was wrong and deserved punishment. But Sherry was being really stubborn and ended up with Mike deciding to take all of Noah's clothes away and give him $100 to make his wardrobe for all of the coming school year, with it reduced down by $15 for each time he insulted Spencer. A moot point now, but he didn't know that at the time. Sherry was, of course, opposed, but there was not much she could do. Then Mike took Noah and left. Spencer got picked up by my mom, and then I got into it with Sherry. It started out civil, talking about parenting philosophy and our different experiences with bullying and the like. She just wouldn't calm down though, and we had the biggest fight of our relationship. I admit, I was a bit at fault too for not backing down. What can I say? I'm one stubborn ass. It was an hours-long screaming match that was basically her defending Noah and saying he
has a right to his words because he's smaller, younger, and because he had to go through his parents' messy divorce and he has emotional trauma.
I don't actually know if this is true, but to be frank, I don't care. I yelled back that Spencer's mom is an effing deadbeat, so F you and your excuses. In the end, it devolved into petty insults and ended with her throwing a lamp at me while screaming that she'd rather bang her co-worker, and I ran out of the house and drove to my mom's place. Anyway, a couple of days later, this somehow all got back to Mike, who invited me out for a drink, and I obviously said yes because I really needed one at that point. We got to talking about Sherry, and it turns out you all were right about their divorce too. According to Mike, he left her because they got into a huge fight after he caught her poking holes in their condoms. She wanted another kid, but he didn't, and she was trying to get her way with an oops baby. They didn't even have a prenup. She just managed to blow through all the money she had gotten from him before I met her. So yeah, suffice it to say, I'm glad I got myself snipped a while ago. Anyway, I've filed the divorce papers and I'm effing devastated, but I know it's for the best. F my life, and thanks for listening to my ranting, internet strangers. Also, I'd be happy just to be drinking buddies with Mike. He's really cool, and considering the crap I'm about to get into, I'm going to need someone to drown my feelings with. 2 weeks ago, I would have never imagined it would come to this, but leaving her feels like a weight off my shoulders. Honestly, like I said, I'm just glad we don't have any kids together. This will be my last update. I'm going to focus on screwing her over as badly as I can. Seriously, F you, Sherry. Okay, I don't know why I put that clip. I just imagined OP doing that when he finished saying that F you to Sherry. Regardless, OP, I know you feel devastated right now, as you said, but hey, it's a good thing that you got out of that relationship. That woman is not just raising an entitled brat, but she's also quite the psycho, so good for you, OP, for getting out of that. And with all that said, here's wishing you the best in your upcoming divorce proceedings and in the rest of your life. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user A Quiet Borderline. The boss wants me to stand in the corner? Okay. Years ago, I was a photographer at a major theme park and worked with the characters on an almost daily basis. Our famous character is a mouse that owns the whole park. Everyone who worked there either referred to him as boss or Mr. Mouse around guests. For the purposes of this post, I'll refer to him as boss. One morning, I was assigned to work with the boss. He was in a mischievous mood and was an overall goofball. I enjoyed this, and so did our guests and character attendants. One of his favorite things to do when he was in a mischievous mood was try to pass me the autograph books he had signed, conveniently ignoring the fact that I had my hands full with a camera. As I went to take them, he'd drop them and run away, making a laughing motion. So we're with this family and boss does his usual pass the autograph books to the photographer stunt. He held them out expectantly and I said, "I'd love to, boss, but you know I don't know my ABCs. At this, the boss drops the books, takes my hand, moves me to a corner and points to the floor, telling me to stay like I was a naughty child. Malicious compliance mode activated. Okay, I guess I'm grounded, I said, pouting. Everyone at this point is howling with laughter, even our head manager, Diane, who had stepped in to watch. So, boss continues his interaction with the family. Now, at the end of the session, we have the family pose with the characters. So, boss gets everyone together and poses with the popular ta-da! Except there's no photographer. After a moment, the boss motions to the family to wait and stomps over to my corner. I'm fighting back a grin at this point as he turns me around, points to my camera, and then holds his hands up as if to say, "What gives? Boss, you told me I'm grounded, remember?" I said with a sweet, innocent smile. At this point, Diane pipes in with, "That you did, Mr. Mouse." Boss playfully drags me back to my spot and poses again. We get the photo and send the family on their way. Diane stepped out with them and offered to send them through again to get more pictures because I didn't take so many, on account of me being grounded. The family accepted, although the dad, who had tears in his eyes at this point, said it was the hardest he's laughed in a long time. To this day, it still brings a smile to my face. Now that's a breath of fresh air for malicious compliance, OP. Thank you so much for sharing that nice story. Take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.